All righty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you are tuning in. I am your international award-winning author, filmmaker, and empowerment specialist, Tennille M. Jackson. Listen, I need y'all to come in real quick. We are going to have kind of a deep discussion today, but the hope is, and as y'all kind of see, this is new hair alert, new hair alert. But no, for real, this is going to be kind of somber, but at the end of the day, we not just talking about people down. Hold on, y'all, because I was kind of running trying to get here to y'all, so I gotta lay my head down. All right, let's do it now. All right, so this is not, in all seriousness, this isn't going to be a show. The goal is not to like have a show where it's making everybody feel all dark and dim and oh my goodness. No, this show is actually to kind of talk about death in a empowering way, right? So I know that sounds crazy because it's like, how in the world can death be how can death be a positive thing, but it should be able to teach us some lessons. So let's say it like this. For those of you guys who are coming on, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or even listening from Noon Vibe, first of all, thank you. Know that I appreciate you. I'm saying hello to you, and be sure that you say hello back to me. And what we want to do is for you to like and share the video. For those of you who are watching it visually, we want you to tag somebody and make sure that you get them in this room, because who we are talking to today is pretty much anybody who has been affected by death, affected by the loss of a loved one. And I think, again, if you are over like the age of a year old, you have experienced death in some capacity. And so we want to talk about that on today. And what kind of brought it to light is the fact that we've been losing all of these celebrities here lately. And, on my Facebook feed, a lot of times people will get flustered and like, well, it's not just celebrities that are passing away, but why is it that nothing is being said when our loved ones, our family members, our friends, they're passing away as well? And just because everybody did not know their name does not mean that their impact was not just as significant. And so I definitely want to give credence to that because that is so very true. And, if you have lost a loved one, then I encourage you again, whether you watch, listen to this live on a replay, take a moment to just sit back and remember. And for a quick moment, for those of you who are on Instagram and Noom, you will not be able to get this visual, but I am going to play. This is just a snippet. I won't play the entire song, but a couple years ago, I wrote a song that was called Remembering, and there's a video to it. And I just feel that this will be kind of the right time. It's fitting to play this song, Remembering.
Days of old, things of the past, memories of you, the only things that last. Thoughts of your words, things you used to say. All I have to remember is our yesterdays. I'm remembering, remembering times we had, moments we shared, the things you did to show that you cared. Nothing left of you but my memories. Your face will I never again see. I'm
All right. So again, that was Remembering by yours truly. If you haven't already done so, feel free. You can find it on all of the outlets, whether it be Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, all of that, plus some, so just Google Remembering by Tennille Jackson and you'll find it. You'll be able to download it. But again, today's show, we are talking about the death effects, the impact that it has, as well as the lessons learned. And so, I always kind of come to you guys based upon my personal experiences, things that I've already kind of gone through. Hey, Daryl. Hey, Jason. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So, whenever I'm talking to you guys about this thing called life, is I'm trying to remember if ever there was a time where it was just something that I Googled. Like 99 times out of 100, I'm gonna give myself one time, but 99 times out of 100, whatever it is I'm talking to you guys about is something that I have lived. And so, whether you're talking about like my mom, all my parents, grandparents, I don't have any of them living anymore. Siblings on my biological father's side, my uncles, aunts, like so much of my family have passed away. And when I was younger, it kind of affected me in a different way and in a different light. And so I will say that I do believe that how death affects you, I think that it depends on how old you are when you start losing people. And to a point, I think it depends on who it is, right? And this is what I mean when I say to a point. If it's somebody close to you, um, I think after a while, especially depending on how many people, and I'll also say that, so it also depends on how many people you've lost, how quickly it's been since the last time you lost somebody. I think all of those are factors, right? I think all of those are factors. Like for case in point, my mother passed away in '02, right? My biological father passed 10 months later, but I really didn't know him as closely. I was just starting to know about him. And so his loss did not impact me to the same veracity as my mom's loss, right? Like this is somebody I had known all my life. This woman had raised me, she shaped me, she molded me. And I was 22. So I spent 22 of my years of living with her. Whereas with my biological father, I had just really met him. And when you add all the time together that I remember us spending, I don't even know if that was a year, right? And so, even though by title he was my father and I was coming to know and learn to love him, in terms of the impact that he had, it's not that there was not an impact, but it definitely was not as strong as that of my mom, right? And then you have my grandmother, my mother's mother, who died the year after my mother died. So she died, my mother died August 18th, '02. My biological father died in '03, and I want to say it's May. And then my grandmother died that November, so November of '03. So because my grandmother was like, she and my mom were the glue that kept that side of the family together, then obviously we were majorly impacted. And also, she died the day before Thanksgiving that year, right? So, needless to say, that it was very difficult that year to find something to be thankful for. Now, let me say this. This is why I also say that it depends on how old you are and how mature you are when someone passes away. Because now being in my 40s, so this was 20 years ago. So now being in my 40s and having a stronger relationship with God, I probably still would be able, the human side of me will obviously be impacted, but I would still have a way and a reason, an ability to still be joyful, right? Because now at this stage of my life, I look at death a little bit differently than I did when I was in my 20s and early 20s at that. And so, what today's show, we're talking about the death effects, understanding that it hits everybody differently. And I tell you what, as I've gotten older, I have a few nephews, but my oldest nephew, which is my sister's oldest son, um, it never occurred to me, and I think that sometimes when we lose people, I think that sometimes we can be a bit selfish unintentionally. And this is what I mean. I think that sometimes we're so focused on the pain that we are enduring that it doesn't occur to us to think about how this loss is affecting someone else, right? Because again, whereas I was 22, I think I think my nephew was only like 6, maybe 7 when my mom passed. And, you know, it, she raised him, like we were all in the same house. We all lived in the same, well, I had moved out by then because I had gotten married, but my sister was still at home with my mom. My mom strongly helped to raise my nephew. Like, he used to call her mom, right? Like he called her mom and he called my sister by her first name because in the house, that's what he's hearing. He's hearing everybody call my mom and my sister by her first name. And so until he was taught otherwise, he did the same thing, right? And I mean, like my mom was such a critical part of his life. And so it never occurred to me until he was probably in his teens, because now he's about to be 29 now. But it never occurred to me this probably impacted him as well, regardless of the fact, because I think that sometimes as adults, we underestimate how much children do know, or we underestimate their ability to know, right? We just think, hey, you're young, this doesn't really impact you, it doesn't really affect you. But, like I say, I was probably close to 30 when it occurred to me, oh my God, this baby is going from, this is somebody that he grew up with. This was his grandmother. This was, the love of his life, basically, at the time. Not saying that his mother was not a good mother, but he had a very strong relationship with his grandmother. And now, it went from, this is somebody I see all day, every day. This is somebody that's teaching me, that's holding me, that's loving me. And now she's not here. And I think that one of the impacts of death, the effect of it, is the permanence of it, right? Like understanding that the situation ain't never gonna change. Like the person that's gone, they're gonna, if you're talking about from the physical realm, they're gonna always be gone. There'll never be another time. And again, regardless of what your belief is, just the actual science of it, person won't be resurrected. Once they're gone from this world, from this side, you will never physically get to experience holding them, or just that presence that they have. Can they forever be in your heart? Absolutely. Can you carry their memories? Absolutely. Can you find a way, as my song said, to remember them, like through your traditions or whatever it is? Absolutely. But it still stands that no matter what, they will never physically be here. And that is a huge adjustment that you have to make. And so I think that that's one of the ways that death impacts us, right? Is the fact that now this is an adjustment that I have to make. A person that I had that was a huge part of my life, no matter who they may be, right? So that's why I put, whether it be family member, I said family member, friend, or even celebrity, because I know a lot of times people do get flustered. They're like, why is it that you guys are mourning these celebrities like you actually knew them? Well, let me say it like this. It's because, think about social media. Many people that you are friends with, and I put friends in quotes. So whether it's on Facebook, the gram, TikTok, like people that you probably never have seen, you have not shared a meal with, you have not, stepped foot in their home, but there is still that connection that you have, that have been created and is real for you, right? So it's the same thing with the celebrity. If these were people, like say if this was your favorite show and you watch this show all the time, now there are memories that you are attached to that this person through their character, but this person helped to create. And so I believe that like when you lose a person, when a person passes away, it's so final that now you have to come to terms with what that means for you, right? So again, I say it's still kind of selfish the way and the reasons why it's impacting us. But again, who else can I be accountable for of it impacting other than me? Like, yes, I probably should consider that this person's also going through, but I'm the one that has to live with myself every day, right? So that if you have someone like a John Amos, and here's what's crazy to me, quick sidebar, like James Earl Jones just recently passed away, right? John Amos passed away in August. So it's been over a month ago that John Amos passed. However, somehow somebody just done picked up the story and done ran with it and got it renewed. Like they're kind of putting it out there like he just passed away again when he's been gone. But the point that we're making is the same in that, that loss will always be felt. So whether it happened today, yesterday, a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago, right? In my case, over 20 years since my mom, the loss doesn't necessarily get easier. I think the implications of the loss gets easier, meaning like over time you begin to come to terms with the fact. Over time you begin to make the adjustments. So it's like I think that like when death first hits, and again I'll keep it in the realm of with a celebrity, like if this is a show that you always watch like currently and somebody passes away, now it's like, will the show hit the same without them being there? Because there have been shows in the past where people passed away or they left the show and the show just didn't hit the same. So now it's like, no, man, I got to find something else to watch. But it's like, it's one thing if the character leaves, because then there's always that hope when that they can come back, right? That, hey, even if it's just a special, what they call it, like a special guest type of situation, then I can see them in that role one more time, right? Like, and this is kind of random with what I'm going to say, but just go with me. If you guys are old enough or you ever watched the show A Different World, came out in the 90s, like the early 90s, is a show primarily a Black cast about Black college students at a primarily it was a historical Black college, right? Hillman, which is a fictitious university, but this is the show that I'm referencing. In the show, if you watch the show, you had Dwayne and Whitley, right? And so again, you had to watch the show to get it. But years later, like decades, so I don't just mean years, like 5, 10, decade, like over a decade, maybe even 2 later, they end up, my children are watching this show that's called Casey Undercover. And I don't watch Casey Undercover, don't know nothing about Casey Undercover. But there's this moment where I'm coming in the living room, they're watching TV, and I look at the screen and I'm like, oh my God, it's Dwayne and Whitley. And my girls are like, who? They have no clue who I'm talking about. But I don't know who they are to this show, but my memories have them forever pegged as Dwayne and Whitley. You see what I'm trying to say? And so the point that I'm making when you tie all of this in is that that's what happens when we are faced with death. Like, you're faced with the finality of it all. You're faced with understanding that, again, literally all you have left of that person are the memories. And so now we want to kind of transition to the lessons, right? Because that's really, again, that's the main impact. So for those of you who are just now tuning in, regardless of the platform, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even listening on Noon Vibe, thank you guys so much. Feel free to say hello, whether you watch it live or even on the replay. Say hello. And be sure that you like and share the video and then tag somebody that you believe would benefit. And we are talking about the death effects, the impact, and the lessons that we learn. So if you know somebody who has been greatly impacted from death, by death, because of death, then make sure that you tag them to this episode. So anyway, getting back to it, we talked about the impact of death or the implication of death. The fact is that it is very final, it is irreversible. Once someone is gone, then that's it. And so I think that there is a huge adjustment mentally that you have to make, again, depending on who the person is, depending on the role that they played in your life, is that something that is easily replaceable? Like if this is somebody that you talk to every single day, do you presently have somebody else that you would feel comfortable talking to every single day? Can somebody else give you the same type of comfort? Can somebody else give you the same type of wisdom, advice, support, etc.? And so I think that that's one of the reasons why death makes us uncomfortable as well, because it's such an adjustment, right? Again, depending on who it is that passed away and the part they played in your life, is like, man, I've invested all of my time in this relationship, whatever that relationship may be. So whether it is a family member, a friend, or again, even a celebrity that you were tied to, like this is parts of you that you have emotionally invested with this person. You spent time knowing them, connecting to them on whatever the level. And so once they're gone, the understanding and the acceptance of the fact that they are never coming back, that's hard. That is hard to do. Everybody always saying it really irritates me when people say sorry for your lost, LOST, because that is so wrong. It's LOSS. Um, because at the end of the day, the person, I know where they are, they're not lost. You know what I'm saying? So it's lost. The fact that you no longer are in possession of is a loss. But even with that, again, I know that people are just trying to be politically correct, right? People are trying to be nice because you don't know what to say to a person who has suffered that loss. You don't know, like you feel like you should say something. And because I've lost so many people, I already get it. Like most of the time, if there's somebody that I know that has suffered a loss, I, I, I mean, like again, maybe one or two times out of 10 will I say sorry for your loss. Like that's not even something that I say, because those are just such empty words, right? Like, because when you think about it, what does it really do? And I don't mean to be cruel when I say it, but it's like, telling a person you have my condolences probably goes over better, because you're apologizing for the fact that the person ain't here anymore is not helping. It doesn't change the fact. So you're being sorry. Because again, think about it. And again, maybe nobody else ever went this deep into it, but because I've been in that seat so many times, at a point you just kind of examine it. Typically, when the person says, I'm sorry, right? Typically, I'm sorry is in connection with or conjunction to a wrong that has been done. And so when you say I'm sorry, then it's actually, an apology of sorts. We typically apologize if we've done something or if we're trying to correct something. So to apologize for something that you didn't do and something that you can't correct, it's an empty apology, right? And so like you don't have to apologize, because what are you apologizing for? But to say you have my condolences, and again, somebody might say potato potato or what have you, but I'm just telling you, I'm here, is my podcast, so I'm telling you from my purview. Like if I'm going to say anything, I would rather either say you have my condolences, which pretty much means that you have my sympathy. You know, if you've never been in my shoes before, you know, like that's the whole thing of sympathy versus empathy, but that's a whole nother show for another day. But you know, to tell somebody that you have their sympathy, okay, to tell somebody, hey, if there's anything, and that's typically what I will say. If somebody has suffered a loss, most times I'm not going to call you the same day. Why? Because everybody is calling you that day, and and again, remember how I told y'all, like when you suffer loss, how it's really kind of selfishness, the spirit that we operate in. It's the same thing. Because think about it. You want for that person, your expectation, this person has just suffered a loss, whether it's their mom, dad, sister, brother, husband, wife, daughter, son, whatever. This person has just suffered a loss, and you really feel like that they are going to be in the mindset to continuously tell that story over and over again, because we've all been in this seat, okay? And unfortunately, if you haven't been in the seat, keep living. But we've all been in the seat where you've lost somebody, and some somebody calls you. Most of the time, like when people call, many times people, you know, you will have the people that's just like, sorry for your loss. You have my condolences. I just want you to know that I'm here if it's anything I can do. But then you're going to always have those people. Girl, what happened? How did he go? Tell me everything. When did he die? When they go? Why did it? I didn't know. And it's like, you really think that this is the appropriate time? Like, do you really feel like that I want to rehash this in this moment? And most of the time, we're not caring even about the other person. We are so focused on what I want them to know that I am here. But if you're going to be here the way that they need you to be here, and not just the way that makes you look good, right? And so for me, I understand the Bible say, know them that labor amongst you. I know the bulk of my people, and most of the people that I'm around are strong people, which means that we got to kind of, you know, act like we good even though we not good. You got to be on autopilot because you the one that's holding down the family, holding down this, got to have a strong face. But the fact of the matter is that most people want a little bit of time just to kind of process what's done happen, whether it's that day, at least some hours of the day. Like, even though again, I understand it's human nature to be like, you hear at 8:05 that a person passed away, so at 8:06 you want to be on the phone. I understand that's human nature. But if we be honest, and if you be honest with yourself, you might want to hear from a certain person or persons. But most of the time, if somebody has just passed away, last thing you want to do is to be on the phone. Yeah, he died in his sleep, and you know he had been suffering for a long time, or yeah, she had cancer and she had been struggling and she had did it. That's the last thing you really feel like doing. Like, honestly, you're trying your best to kind of deal with the news. You trying to process what's happening. You trying to figure out the next step, because everybody gonna call you and ask you everything like you already got to figure it out, and you ain't even had time to figure it out, right? But anyway, let me digress and let me say this. So some lessons that we should take away, and some people on my wall, I posted this on Facebook, and there were some people that had commented, and the general the lessons were generally the same. They could be summed up by saying it like this. Lessons that losing someone teaches you. Life is very short, so don't take it for granted, right? Sounds cliche, but it is so genuine. Like, life is so short. When I tell y'all how fast just this year has passed by, when I tell you it seems like these hours of the day are just zooming by. You know, you wake up, it's 9:30 and you blink twice and it's 9:30 again. Whichever one, AM to PM, 12 hours, 24 hours, 72 hours. They are just speeding by, right? So don't live in the moment of woulda, coulda, shoulda, because you don't know how long that you have. So life is short. Don't take it for granted. Don't take the people in your life for granted, right? Like, stop saying, well, I'll do, I'll get around to calling them next week. I'll get around to calling them next month. We'll get around to do. Don't like try to make the exception of the rule be about what you will do at some point. Start trying to focus and work on making the rule be, we finna get this done. If it's something you want to do, and especially with or for somebody, stop waiting until they sick. Stop waiting till you think that they at death's door. Like, if there are people in your life that mean something to you, they should like make a conscious effort to make them a priority now. Because let me tell you something. I was my mother's caregiver, and when she passed away, it was very devastating to me. And it was devastating to me, probably very much not what average people would think. Obviously, it was devastating because it's my mother. And who wants to believe that you're. But I think for me, the reason why I was devastated the most was because, like, I'm a person, I really don't have regret. Anything I've ever wanted to do, I've done it. So if you ask me, hey, what would you want? I've done it. Any dream I've had, I've tried to achieve it. Whether, I would be successful is like what society deems successful. So no, I'm not a millionaire. No, I don't have a billion people following me. But the things that I set for myself that I wanted to do, I've already done those things. So I don't have any regrets. But the one thing that I do regret, so this is the only regret when I go over my own little list of things that I wish would have been different or could have been different. So when my mom was going through, and the doctors, I mean, they were telling us all of everything, what to expect, this and the third. But I was very, very strong in my faith at that time. Not to say I'm not now, but I was very strong. Like, when I say I was fasting every day, praying every day, every healing word, prayer of faith shall save the sick, and whatever, have faith in God. You have faith to move the mountain. Like, all of these scriptures I knew, I lived by. I was just so believing God. And for me, I believed in that time of my life, I believed that I did, if I were to talk about or even, like, if I would even give consideration to a conversation of her not being here, then that for me was showing that I was doubting God's ability to heal her. And so I didn't even want the notion of doubt to appear. So I would never allow myself to talk about the fact that she wouldn't be here. I would never entertain a conversation, and especially not with her. I would never entertain the conversation of, well, when you're not here, then, or what's some things you would want me to know. I never did that because I would not allow myself to believe that she was not going to be healed. That is the only thing that I regret. I don't regret the fact that I had faith, but I regret the fact that I did not at least have those conversations. I regret the fact that I was so focused in. Again, remember I told y'all at the top of this hour, I told y'all that a lot of times when we're dealing with death or at death's door, it's so much of it is selfish, right? Because had I thought about it, like, seriously, had I thought about it, then I kind of would have known that she wasn't going to be healed. And the reason why I say that has absolutely nothing to do with what the doctor said, even though they had only given her X amount, of time to live and this, that, and the third. But in having conversations with my mother had told me that she was tired. My mother had told me that she was done. She was ready to go. And when you think about it, and so for anybody that's not a believer, then y'all probably just hold on. I'm gonna get to y'all conversation, but this conversation ain't for you. When you are praying, right? If you got two people that are both children of God, righteous men and women, if one person is praying for rain and one person is praying for sun, those are polar opposite requests. Only one person's request can be granted. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, and again, it was years later that the Lord gave me this revelation, and I had to come to terms with it. If I knew, like, it wasn't something my mother told, anybody told me, I'm talking to my mother every day. If I know that she's ready to go, she ain't praying to stay. So if she's ready to go, but I want her to stay, those are polar opposite requests. Who you think God is going, whose request do you think he's going to honor? Both of us are honorable women before him. Both of us are his children. But guess what? She's praying prayers I know nothing about. She's crying tears, talking to him about things that I don't know anything about. And so this is what I'm saying, like, there is a selfishness, because no, who wants to say, okay, I'm gonna let my mom go? But when I thought about it over time, after, the anger, frustration, grief, after I was able to get past all of that, and I thought about it I'm like, because I know mama was ready to go. So the point is, there was only one request that could be granted, and it was hers. And so the point is, if I knew that, because she didn't just all of a sudden talk about, from the time my mother told me before she was officially diagnosed, she told me that she knew that she had cancer. And she's like, I just want you to know. She told me every single thing. And again, it was hindsight, y'all, because I think that maybe maybe I was in the denial stage and I didn't want to accept it. But she had already told me before we went to the doctor's office, before there was the official reading of the paper, hey, she has stage 4, she only has about 6 months left to live. Before all of that happened, my mother called me in 2 months early to tell me, I know I got cancer. And I'm like, Mama, why in the world you say that? But I know I got cancer, and I'm just letting you know this is what I want. This is how I want things to go. And so the point that I'm making, because I'm going a little long, but the point that I'm making is this. I wish, and this is the only thing that I would have ever done different. I wish that the last, let me see, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, the last 10 months, I wish instead of me living in denial, instead of me trying really, really hard to ignore what I was seeing right before my eyes, instead of me, not trying to hear her telling me these things, I wish that I actually would have embraced it. So that way I could have spent those latter days asking her all the things that now all I can do is wonder about. You see what I'm saying? And so this is why I go back, and we're coming to an end. I come back to live every day on purpose. That's a lesson that death teaches you. Live with no regrets. Make sure that you are loving on everybody every day, especially those people that mean something special to you. Like, don't let little things, like little argument, I don't even care if it was a big argument, don't let pride get in the way. Don't let pride stop you from, making sure you're in right relationship with people. Because let me tell you, like, if you get that call that the person that you just had an argument with, that they are gone, do you understand what you have to live with for the rest of your life? And whatever the issue is, It is not that deep. It is not worth having to carry that with you for the rest of your life. So death should teach you to live life. And one of the people said, don't just live, don't just exist, but live, right? Be intentional about the choices that you make. Because again, not speaking nothing ill over anybody, but just being factual. As sure as you live, you are going to die. How they say it, like, we don't know, you know that there's going to be the beginning date, and you know that it's a dash, you just don't know what the ending date is going to be. And so whereas you may not have control over the beginning, you don't know when you were going to be born, you don't know when you're going to die, so you have no control over that. But what you do have control over is that middle. Oh my goodness. Hello, Miss Aura. I have not seen Aura in so long. Hello, ma'am. I pray all is well with you. Um, and thank you for tuning in. But what you have control over, do right by. So whether your dash is a long dash or a short dash, do right by it, right? Do right by all the people that you choose to have in your life. So if there are relationships that maybe are not in the right status with you, and again, you don't need somebody to tell you whether or not the relationship is where it needs to be. Like, if you ain't got rest, if your mind won't let you rest, if you steadily thinking about this person and what they did, and I'm wondering this and I'm hoping this, and whether it's something that you, because it doesn't necessarily just have to be that you're wishing bad things for them. It could be that you never receive closure. Like, do what you can do so that when it's either your time or their time, you clear, you free. You don't have no woulda, coulda, shouldas. All pride is, what did it say? Pride comes before the fall. So you want to make sure that you are not allowing pride to get in the way. So for those of y'all who just tuned in, again, whether you watch on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or even listening in from Noon Vibe, know that I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this, and I ask that you please like and share, tag somebody that you believe would have benefited from this broadcast. And like I say, make sure that you are living life on purpose every day. Make sure that you live with no regrets. Make sure that you are loving on the people that you love. Love on them every day. Don't wait until a funeral. Don't wait until they're sick. Don't wait until they get an unfavorable diagnosis, but love them, and love them on purpose. So I love all of you guys. I appreciate you so much. And don't forget, yeah, I was late today, y'all, but I still came on. You said, she said, my book title, How Will You Live Your Dash? Come on. I love that. Has been in my head for years. Right. Come on. I love that. How will you live your dash? And I'm waiting for that book, Miss Aura. But I appreciate you guys. Again, I was a little late today because traffic was something else. But I got here. I kept my word. Tomorrow, please join me live at 5. Tomorrow is going to be lit advice. Okay. So we started out the week with life advice. Then this is just like some words of wisdom and inspiration. And on Thursdays, it's your lit advice. So if I have any authors, aspiring authors, novice authors, maybe you seasoned, and just stuck or discouraged or whatever, tune in tomorrow. I'm going to be giving you some lit advice. I'm always giving you some type of aspect of entrepreneurship, whether it's about writing, editing, publishing, promoting, whatever it is that you can do for the life of your book. And so I'll probably try to collect some thoughts and ideas and then go forward with that. But again, I do ask that you guys, if you have not already done so, please follow me at Educated and Empowered, the number 2. For those of you who don't know, I have, I kind of was down for about 6 months, in and out, up and down, like revamping the brain. I was kind of quiet. I come back, do a random live here there just to let y'all know, hey, I'm still here, but I'm just in the lab revamping some things. And so the brand is Educated and Empowered. What I do is really still the same. It's just it's under a different umbrella. And so I need you all to follow me across though, whatever your preferred platform is. Make sure you're following me. Sign up for the email or the newsletter, I should say, because when I do the newsletter, you'll get it 2 times a week. You get once on Tuesdays, and that's the part where we educate you. I give you all of the events and opportunities that I have coming up. One of the opportunities I'll leave off with, which is your opportunity to be a sponsor of the show, Educated and Empowered. You can get educated, get empowered with Tennille. You can sponsor the show, and rates start just as low as $60. It's different packages, but one of the packages is as low as $60. But I let you know in the newsletter the different events and opportunities we have coming up, and then I empower you on Thursday, and that's giving you some type of tip in regards to personal growth, professional development, or social evolution. So come on, y'all, come on this journey with me. If you like what I do, if you want to see how I'm going to even evolve through it, if you want to be a recipient of me and what I give, then come on, follow me. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. If I said Instagram already, at Educated and Empowered, the number 2. Share it. Tell other people about it as well, right? So thank you guys so much. And again, I'll be back tomorrow live at 5, and I'm just going to close out the show for those of you who are watching me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube with a page that is with my sponsorship information. So if you guys want to sponsor Instagram, you have seen it before. I'll put it back out. For those of you who are Noon Vibe, you can also be a sponsor of the show. And I'll just tell you really quickly what they're reading for themselves. Like level 1 sponsorship is only $60, and that will get your name/logo listed on one of the show promos, along with a sponsor mention at the beginning of one of the shows. And there are 5 different levels. I won't read all of them, but the price points are $60, $125, $200, $350, and $500. So it is very feasibly priced. And so if you're interested, hit me up in my inbox. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, you guys stay inspired. Oh, and let me say it like this. I hope, I got to remember how to end it now, y'all. I hope that you have been able to get educated and get empowered with Tennille. Have a good one.